On October 29th, 2025, something extraordinary unfolded behind our sun.
But there's a lot of science, and it is a very weird object. It is unlike anything we have ever seen here in the solar system.
An object from another star system, 3I Atlas, tore past Perihelion at over 130,000 miles per hour, closer than Mars ever gets. Solar maximum is raging, our star more violent than it's been in over a decade. And this interstellar visitor chose that exact instant to dive through the chaos. Here's the problem. When an object reaches perihelion, its closest point to the sun, it's also at the optimal point to change course. It's called the Oberth maneuver, maximum speed. Deep in a gravity well means even the smallest thrust can completely alter a trajectory. And when that happened, we couldn't see it. From Earth, 3I Atlas was directly behind the sun. Total blackout. Now here's where it gets fascinating. Multiple spacecraft across 3 different space agencies, Hera, Europa Clipper, and JUICE, are about to fly through its tail. They're preparing to sample material that was born around another star, something no human instrument has ever touched before. In this video, I'll show you what these missions are detecting, what the perihelion data reveals, and why the next few weeks could finally answer a question we've been asking since 2017. What are interstellar visitors really made of? If you want to stay updated on this developing story, hit that subscribe button now. Here's something that'll make you think twice about what we're dealing with. A team of scientists led by Xavier Perez-Couto from the University of A Coruña in Spain traced 3I Atlas's path backward through the galaxy for 10 million years. They used data from the Gaia Space Observatory, which has been precisely tracking billions of stars in our Milky Way for over a decade. The goal? Find the star system this thing came from. They identified 93 potential stellar encounters, moments when 3I Atlas might have passed close enough to a star to have its trajectory altered. Of those, 62 were considered significant. But here's the kicker. Not a single one of those encounters was close enough or long enough to meaningfully change the comet's path. They couldn't find a home star. This object has been drifting through interstellar space for so long that its origin point is essentially untraceable. The research team concluded that 3I Atlas likely originated from the Milky Way's thin disk, the region containing younger stellar populations, rather than the older thick disk. But even that doesn't narrow it down much. The thin disk spans tens of thousands of light years and contains billions of stars. The paper suggests 3I Atlas could be an ancient object, possibly ejected from a primordial planetesimal disk in an early formed star system. Translation? This thing might be older than our entire solar system, wandering the galaxy for billions of years before stumbling into our neighborhood. Now let's talk about what happened during the Mars flyby on October 3rd. The European Space Agency's ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter captured images from about 20 million miles away. The spacecraft's CASIS camera isn't designed for this kind of work. It's built to photograph Mars's surface from just hundreds of miles up, not to capture a faint comet millions of miles distant. ESA compared the difficulty to seeing a mobile phone on the moon from Earth. But they got the shot. The images showed 3I Atlas as a slightly fuzzy white dot with a visible coma, that glowing cloud of gas and dust surrounding the nucleus. The fact that they could resolve the coma at all from that distance tells us the object was actively venting material, even though it was still far from perihelion. Meanwhile, the Gemini multi-object spectrograph at Gemini South in Chile captured something remarkable on October 14th. A composite image from 159 separate 50-second exposures revealing a fan-shaped jet erupting from the nucleus and pointing directly toward the sun. This jet extended roughly 33,000 feet from the comet's surface. Jets like this are common in comets, but they usually point away from the sun or perpendicular to it. A sunward jet is unusual. It suggests asymmetric heating or venting from a specific region of the nucleus that's oriented toward the sun, almost like a focused nozzle. Here's where things get really interesting. The Punch constellation of satellites, that's the polarimeter to unify the corona and heliosphere mission, captured images of 3I Atlas on October 14th as well. Punch is designed to study the sun's corona and solar wind, not comets. But there it was, visible in their data. Independent researchers Thomas Lehman and Marshall Eubanks processed those images and confirmed the comet's position matched predictions perfectly. This is significant because Punch sees things in a different wavelength range than optical telescopes. The fact that 3I Atlas showed up clearly in their data means it's interacting with the solar wind in measurable ways. On October 29th, 2025, Perihelion Day. At exactly 11:47, 3I Atlas reached its closest point to the Sun, 126 million miles out, just inside Mars's orbit. At that moment, the comet was being hammered by 770 watts of solar energy per square foot, equivalent to the output of 33 nuclear power plants focused on this single object. The Sun is currently at solar maximum, the peak of its 11-year activity cycle. Sunspots are multiplying, plasma eruptions are frequent, and the Sun's magnetic field is literally flipping. 3I Atlas dove into that maelstrom. For any spacecraft, and this is critical, perihelion represents the optimal moment for a major course change. It's called the Oberth effect. When you're deep in a gravity well moving at maximum speed, even a small thrust from an engine produces the biggest change in trajectory. If 3I Atlas were a probe, this would be the moment to fire its engines. And here's the thing that's got Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb and his team on high alert. We couldn't see it during this critical window. From Earth's perspective, 3I Atlas was directly behind the Sun. Blind spot, complete blackout. Amateur astronomer Warachate Boonplod reviewed footage from GOES 19 satellite and spotted what appeared to be 3I Atlas moving through the Sun's corona. If verified, this would mark the first time an interstellar object has ever been captured in coronagraph imagery. But NASA hasn't officially confirmed it yet. The government shutdown has created a communications blackout. The NASA-backed International Asteroid Warning Network, operating under the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, launched what they're calling a coordinated planetary defense campaign to track 3I Atlas. This marks the first UN-backed observational campaign for an interstellar object. They're framing it as practice for potential future threats, but the timing is interesting. The network quietly launched this investigation after 3I Atlas began displaying what they termed unusual behavior. Now, two of the most advanced spacecraft ever built are lined up for a remarkable opportunity. ESA's Hera and NASA's Europa Clipper are both positioned to potentially fly through or very near the ion tail of 3I Atlas. Hera had a window between October 25th and November 1st. Europa Clipper's window runs from October 30th through November 6th. If either spacecraft samples that tail and detects charged particles, magnetic distortions, or heavy ions not normally seen in solar system comets, it would be the first time humanity has ever intercepted material from an object born around another star. That's not speculation. That's the stated mission objective. ESA's JUICE spacecraft, the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, is also preparing to observe 3I Atlas between November 2nd and 25th, right as the comet reaches its most active phase. But there's a catch. JUICE is currently using its large high-gain antenna as a heat shield, which means data can only be transmitted through a smaller secondary antenna. We won't see findings from these observations until early 2026. On November 3rd, 3I Atlas will pass within 60 million miles of Venus. On December 19th, 6 days before Christmas, it reaches its closest approach to Earth, 167 million miles away. That's still more than 600 times farther than the Moon, so there's zero impact risk. But it's close enough for serious observation. On March 16, 2026, the comet will approach within 34 million miles of Jupiter, where NASA's Juno spacecraft will be waiting with cameras and radio antennas, checking for any kind of transmission. Avi Loeb isn't saying it's aliens. He's saying we need to take the possibilities seriously enough to gather data. His Galileo project is now using 3 observatories to monitor Earth's atmosphere for signs of unusual objects or mini-probes. Loeb has asked radio observers to monitor 3I Atlas for any electromagnetic transmissions. Multiple facilities are now listening. Here's something that should make you pay attention. Loeb recently appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast and revealed that he's been trying to get NASA to release images of 3I Atlas taken by the HiRISE camera aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter on October 2nd. According to Loeb, this was the best image ever captured of the object. taken when 3I Atlas came within 19 million miles of Mars. He wrote to the principal investigator of HiRISE requesting the image but received no response. NASA hasn't confirmed whether such a photograph even exists. Meanwhile, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna is now working to get those HiRISE images released to the scientific community. The question is simple. If we have a clear, high-resolution image of this interstellar object from our most advanced planetary camera, why isn't it public? Here's what we're watching for in the coming weeks. First, trajectory. If 3I Atlas deviates from its mathematically predicted path, that's a game changer. Second, fragmentation. The intense solar heating at Perihelion could have broken it into pieces. If it did, we'll see multiple fragments. If it didn't, if it held together through that nuclear furnace, that tells us something about its structural integrity. Third, radio signals. Multiple observatories are listening. Fourth, any release of smaller objects. If mini probes were deployed, we might detect them as they move away from the main body. The comet will be visible again from Earth around November 11th, emerging from the sun's glare in our eastern pre-dawn sky. You'll need at least an 8-inch telescope to spot it. By late November, it should be at its best visibility for amateur astronomers. Professional observatories will be tracking it continuously. So what actually happened at Perihelion? The honest answer is, we don't know yet. The data is still coming in. What we do know is that 3I Atlas survived its closest approach to the sun. It's now on its outbound trajectory, and multiple spacecraft are positioned to gather unprecedented data as it speeds away. Whether it's a natural comet with unusual properties, an exotic object we've never encountered before, or something else entirely, we're about to learn more about interstellar visitors than we ever have before. If you found this breakdown valuable, smash that like button and subscribe to stay updated as this story develops. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Do you think 3I Atlas is just an unusual comet, or is there something more going on here? And if you know someone who'd be fascinated by this, share this video with them. This is the kind of story that reminds us why we look up at the night sky in the first place. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.